The great meeting hall floated in space above Centaurus Prime. Inside, hundreds of aliens sat in their seats. They came from different worlds across the galaxy. Some had blue skin, others had scales or fur. They all belonged to the Galactic Council. In the center of the hall, one seat remained empty. It had been empty for 200 years. A small sign on the seat said Earth Sol System. Ambassador Velthor stood up. He was tall with purple skin and forearms. He pointed at the empty seat and laughed. Look at that chair. 200 years and the humans never came. They are too stupid to understand what we offer them. Other council members laughed with him. They had sent Earth hundreds of invitations. Every time, there was no response. The aliens thought humans were primitives who could barely fly in space. I say we remove their seat, Velthor continued. Give it to a species that deserves it. The humans are nothing. They probably still fight with metal weapons. Council leader, an ancient being named Cassathon, nodded slowly. Very well. We will send one final invitation. If they do not come this time, we remove Earth from the Council forever. Everyone agreed. They sent the message and forgot about it. To them, humans were just another primitive species that would never matter. But they were very wrong. Deep under a mountain on Earth, General Sarah Chen sat in a dark room. Screens covered every wall. She watched the council meeting with careful eyes. She had watched every meeting for 50 years. They think we're stupid, said Commander Parks, standing next to her. They think we've been ignoring them. Chen smiled a cold smile. Let them think that. It's better this way. The truth was very different. Earth had not been ignoring the galaxy. They had been watching, learning, preparing. In 2087, Kryn probe crashed on Mars. The Kryn thought it was destroyed. They never looked for it. But Earth found it. Human scientists took it apart piece by piece. They learned how Kryn shields worked. In 2104, Zephron species abandoned mining equipment near Jupiter. They left it because it was broken. But Earth fixed it. They learned how Zephron weapon systems worked. In 2156, two alien species fought a war near Earth's solar system. Wreckage from their ships drifted into human space. Earth collected everything. They studied the engines, the computers, the communication systems. For 200 years, while the galaxy ignored Earth, humans were building something new. They took technology from a dozen different species. They combined it in ways no one had ever tried. They made something better than all of them. President James Morrison walked into the command center. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. General Chen, are we ready? Chen stood up straight. We've been ready for 50 years, Mr. President. Morrison looked at the screens showing the Galactic Council. They looked so confident, so sure of themselves. They don't know what's coming, Chen said. Around them, the command center was full of activity. Officers worked at computers. Screens showed space around Earth, but they also showed something else. Something the galaxy had never seen. In orbit around Earth, hidden by cloaking technology, 1,000 warships waited. They were beautiful and deadly. Each ship combined the best technology from many alien species. But they also had something special. They had human innovation, human determination. The shipyard managers report all vessels ready, said an officer. Crews are at stations. Weapons charged. Shields at full power. Morrison walked to a window. Outside, he could see nothing. But he knew the ships were there. 1,000 of them. Each one more advanced than anything the Council had. Do you think they'll accept us? Morrison asked quietly. Chen joined him at the window. They'll have no choice. We're not asking permission anymore. We're taking our place. For 200 years, the Galactic Council had invited Earth to join them. But the invitations were never friendly. They were full of insults. The aliens called humans primitive. They said Earth was backward. They treated the invitation like they were doing humans a favor. Earth's leaders had read every message. They understood the truth. The Council didn't want partners. They wanted servants. Species who would follow their rules, accept their control. So Earth waited. They built in secret. They prepared for the day when they would meet the galaxy as equals, not as beggars. Morrison turned to Chen. "Send our response." Chen nodded and spoke into her communicator. "Communications? Transmit the message." Across space, the Galactic Council received Earth's reply. Most council members barely looked at it. They expected another excuse. Another delay. The message was simple. Invitation received. Humanity accepts. We will arrive with our full delegation tomorrow. Belthor laughed when he saw it. Finally, they come. This will be amusing. We'll see their primitive ship and send them home. But Kasathan, the ancient council leader, felt something strange. In 4,000 years, he had learned to trust his feelings. Something about this message worried him. He asked quietly. No one answered. They would find out tomorrow. In the command center on Earth, Morrison gave the final order. "General Chen, prepare the fleet for departure. Tomorrow, we show the galaxy who humanity really is." Chen saluted. "Yes, Mr. President. They're going to be very surprised." Outside, invisible to any watching eyes, 1,000 warships began their final checks. Earth was going to the council meeting, and nothing would ever be the same again. Asterisk, asterisk, end of part 1. Asterisk, asterisk, hash part 2. The arrival of the Galactic Council gathered in their great meeting hall. Today they would finally meet the humans. Most council members were not excited. They expected to see a primitive ship. Maybe two, if Earth was lucky. Ambassador Velthar made jokes. "I bet their ship is held together with tape," he said. Other aliens laughed. They all thought the same thing. Humans were primitives who would embarrass themselves. The viewing screens showed empty space. That was where human ships were supposed to arrive. Council members talked among themselves. They were not paying attention. "They're probably lost," someone said. More laughter filled the hall. Castled then, the council leader sat quietly. He watched the empty space on the screens. Something felt wrong. In 4,000 years of life, he had learned to trust these feelings. Then the alarms started screaming. Every sensor in the station activated at once. Red lights flashed everywhere. Council members jumped from their seats in panic. "What's happening?" Velthar shouted. The station's defense officer stared at his screen. His face turned white. Ships. Hundreds of ships. No. 1,000 ships. All arriving at the same time. The main viewing screen changed. Everyone in the hall stopped talking. They stared in shock. Space filled with warships. 1,000 of them appeared in perfect formation. They were not like any ships in the council database. They were sleek and dangerous. Each ship had smooth lines and glowing engines. They combined technology from many species, but looked completely new. The ships arranged themselves in a pattern around the station. Not attacking. Not threatening. Just waiting. Like 1,000 predators watching their prey. On each ship's hull, Earth's symbol glowed. A blue and green planet surrounded by olive branches, but one branch was different. It was a sword. "This is impossible," Velthar whispered. "They can't have this. They're primitives." The screens changed again. President Morrison's face appeared on every display in the council hall. He looked calm, but his eyes were hard as stone. "Members of the Galactic Council," Morrison said, "humanity has arrived. We apologize for missing your previous meetings. We were busy building this." The camera pulled back. Behind Morrison, through a window, the entire fleet was visible. 1,000 warships hanging in space like silent promises of power. Chaos erupted in the council hall. Everyone started shouting at once. The Kryn military commander stood up. "How did you get our shield technology?" "That's classified. That's theft." The Zephron trade representatives were angry too. "Those weapons systems, those are our designs. You stole from us." Other species shouted accusations. Some demanded answers. Others just stared in fear. Kasathan raised his hand. His voice cut through the noise. Silence. Everyone stopped talking. The ancient leader looked at Morrison's image. "Explain yourself, human." Now. Morrison's expression did not change. For 200 years, you sent us invitations. We read every one. Do you know what we found in those messages? Insults, mockery. You treated us like children who should be grateful for your attention. He paused, letting his words sink in. You didn't invite us as equals. You invited us as subjects, primitives you could control and command. So we made a choice. We stayed home. But we didn't stay idle, Morrison continued. Everything you carelessly left in our solar system, we studied. That Kryn probe that crashed on Mars. We learned from it. That Zephron mining equipment you abandoned, we fixed it and improved it. That battle wreckage that drifted past Jupiter. We collected every piece. The council members looked at each other in growing horror. They had never thought the primitives would be smart enough to use their discarded technology. For 200 years we watched you, Morrison said. We learned your languages. We studied your politics. We understood your technology. And we built something you never expected. A fleet that doesn't ask for permission. Elthar found his voice again. You think 1,000 ships makes you our equal? We have fleets 100 times larger. You're nothing compared to the Council's combined military. Morrison smiled. It was not a friendly smile, perhaps. But ask yourself this question. If we could build this fleet in secret, what else might we have that you don't know about? If we could hide 1,000 ships, what else are we hiding? The council hall fell silent. It was a good question. A terrifying question. General Chen appeared next to Morrison on the screen. Our ships are in defensive positions around this station. We're not threatening anyone, but we're also not afraid. We've calculated firing solutions for every possible threat scenario. We know exactly what we're doing. A luminary scientist, a peaceful species known for their intelligence, stood up. Her voice was shaking. Your ships. The way they're positioned, it's mathematically perfect. Every angle covered. Every weakness protected. You're not warriors playing at strategy. You're showing us you know exactly how to fight. We know how to do many things, Morrison said. Fight, build, trade, cooperate. The question is, which will we do with the council? Cassathon leaned forward. What do you want, President Morrison? What we've always wanted, Morrison answered. To join the council as equals. Full members with complete voting rights. Control over our own territory. Sovereignty over our own decisions. We'll trade with you. We'll work with you. But we won't bow to you. And if we refuse, Velthor asked. Morrison's expression turned cold. Then we go home. We close our borders. We continue building. And the galaxy will have its first true rival. Not a primitive species you can ignore. Not a weak civilization you can intimidate. A rival with technology you don't understand and capabilities you can't predict. You're threatening us, someone shouted. Morrison said firmly. We're giving you a choice. Make us your partners, or make us your competitors. Either way, humanity is taking its place in the galaxy. The only question is whether we do it together or apart. He looked directly at Cassathon. You have 24 hours to decide. After that, our fleet returns to Earth, and your chance to have humanity as allies will be gone forever. The screen went dark. Morrison was gone, but his ships remained. 1,000 warships waiting silently in space. The council hall erupted in arguments. Some wanted war. Others wanted negotiation. Everyone was afraid. Cassathon sat quietly, thinking. In 4,000 years, he had never seen anything like this. A species that came from nowhere with power and confidence. Humans had changed everything in a single moment. Tomorrow would decide the galaxy's future. And for the first time in his long life, Cassathon did not know what would happen next. End of Part 2 hash. Part 3. The Crisis Council, the council doors closed. No cameras, no public. Just the leaders of galactic civilization trying to decide what to do about Earth. Supreme Commander Zareth of the Kryn. Empire slammed his fist on the table. We must attack now. Destroy their fleet before they become stronger. With what? Asked Director Fendel of the Zephron Trade Consortium. You want to start a war with a species we know nothing about? I know everything I need to know, Zareth growled. They have 1,000 ships. We have 10,000 across the galaxy. The numbers are clear. Chief Scientist Mirakel of the Luminari stood up. She was small and gentle, but her voice was firm. Commander, you're wrong. Let me show you something. She activated a hologram. It showed Earth's fleet in detail. Look at these ships. They use Kryn shields, but they're 30% more efficient than yours. They have Zephyron weapons, but with better targeting systems. They combine technology from 12 different species, so they're thieves, Velthor said. We already know this. You don't understand, Mirakel continued. These technologies should not work together. Kryn and Zephyron systems use different power sources, different computer languages, different everything. But somehow, humans made them work. They didn't just copy our technology. They improved it. She changed the hologram to show the fleet's formation. And look at their positions. Every ship is placed perfectly. If we attacked from any direction, they could create overlapping fire patterns. They would destroy twice their number before falling. They're still outnumbered, Zareth insisted. Are they? Mirakel asked quietly. This fleet appeared from nowhere. If they could hide 1,000 ships, what else are they hiding? The room fell silent. It was a question no one wanted to answer. Director Fendel stood up. He was a businessman, not a warrior. Let's talk about economics. Earth has 10 billion people. That's 10 billion potential customers. A whole planet of resources we've never accessed. War would waste all of that. You just want their money? Someone accused. Of course I do, Fendel admitted. But think about it. If we fight and win, we make enemies. If we trade, we make profit. Which is smarter? They don't need our trade, his assistant said quietly. I checked their resource data. Earth is completely self-sufficient. They don't need our food, our metals, or our technology. They came here with strength, not need. So that worried everyone even more. Species usually joined the council because they needed something. Earth needed nothing. That made them unpredictable. Elder Shenra of the Whispers spoke next. The Whispers were telepaths who rarely talked. When they did, people listened. I tried to sense the human fleet's emotions, she said softly. I felt no fear. No doubt. Only patient determination. What does that mean? Someone asked. It means they didn't come hoping we would accept them, Shenra explained. They came knowing we would have to. They're not requesting membership. They're claiming it. Cassathon listened to everything. He had not spoken yet. 4,000 years of experience taught him when to listen and when to talk. Meanwhile, aboard the flagship USS Unity, President Morrison met with his command staff. They gathered in a conference room overlooking the council station. How long until the deadline? Morrison asked. 20 hours, General Chen answered. The council is arguing. Some want war. Others want negotiation. Expected, Morrison said. What about the Kryn Third Fleet? Chen pulled up a star map. They're mobilizing. Moving into position for a possible attack. They think they can destroy our fleet quickly and force Earth to surrender. Commander Parks looked worried. Sir, if they attack, can we win? Morrison smiled. They won't attack. They're about to learn something very important about humanity. What's that? Parks asked. That we always have a backup plan. Back in the council chamber, the argument continued. Velthor was still pushing for war. If we don't act now, they'll think we're weak. Other species will challenge us too. Or, said Fendel, they'll see that we're wise enough to recognize strength and make allies instead of enemies. Allies. Zareth laughed. They're primitives with stolen technology, no, Mirakel said firmly. They're innovators who learned from every species in the galaxy. They're survivors who turned our garbage into their greatest weapons. They're strategists who waited 200 years for the perfect moment. They're many things, Commander, but primitive is not one of them. Kasathan finally spoke. His ancient voice silenced everyone. I want to speak with the human leader, privately. The request surprised everyone. Private talks between council leaders and new species were very rare. But no one argued with Cassathon. On the Unity, Morrison received the communication request. The council leader wants to talk. Just you and him? Morrison nodded. Accept it. Cassathon's face appeared on a private screen. The two leaders looked at each other. 4,000 years of experience, meeting 200 years of planning. You've impressed the council, Cassathon said, and frightened them. That takes skill. We didn't come to frighten anyone, Morrison replied. We came to join as equals. Why now? Why not 50 years ago? Or 50 years from now? Morrison considered the question. Too early, and we would have been absorbed into your systems. We would have lost our independence. Too late, and the galaxy might have moved on without us. This moment, right now, is when we're strong enough to negotiate, but still new enough to be interesting. Cassathon made a sound that might have been a laugh. You planned this very carefully. We had 200 years to plan, Morrison said. Every message you sent, every insult in your invitations, every assumption about our inferiority, we read it all. We learned who you were before we let you meet us. What does humanity really want? Cassathon asked. The truth, not the political answer. Morrison was quiet for a moment. What everyone wants? To be left alone to live our lives, to raise our children, to build our future. But we've learned that peace requires strength. No one respects weakness. So we built strength to protect our peace. You could have stayed hidden, Cassathon observed. Kept your fleet secret. Remained isolated. Isolation is its own kind of prison, Morrison said. We want to be part of the galaxy. We want to trade ideas and art and science. We want to explore and learn and grow. But we'll never bow. We'll never surrender our sovereignty. We'll never let anyone else decide humanity's future. Cassathon nodded slowly. I believe you. But many council members fear you. Fear is dangerous. Then help them understand, Morrison said. We're not their enemies. We don't want their territory. We don't want to rule them. We just want respect. Respect must be earned, Cassathon said. Morrison gestured to the fleet outside. We've earned it. Cassathon looked at the human president for a long moment. Then he smiled, showing teeth that had not smiled in centuries. Yes. You have. I will talk to the council. You will have your answer soon. The communication ended. Morrison looked at Chen. What do you think? I think we won, Chen said. But there will still be trouble. The Kryn won't accept this easily. No, Morrison agreed. They won't. But that's a problem for tomorrow. Tonight, we wait. The 24-hour deadline was approaching. Soon, the galaxy would make its choice, and humanity's future among the stars would be decided. Asterisk, asterisk, end of part 3, asterisk, asterisk, hash part 4. The hidden card 4. Hours remained until the deadline. The Galactic Council was still arguing. But in secret, the Kryn Empire was making plans. Supreme Commander Zareth met with his fleet admirals in a secure room. The Council's weak, he said. They will accept the humans. This cannot happen. What do you suggest? Admiral Corvin asked. We strike first, Zareth explained. Destroy the human fleet. Then tell the Council it was self-defense. By the time they investigate, Earth will be defenseless. They will have to accept our terms. The admirals looked at each other. It was risky. But the Kryn Empire had always used force to solve problems. The Third Fleet is in position, Corvin said. We have 3,000 ships. We outnumber them 3-1. A quick strike could cripple them. Then prepare to attack, Zareth ordered. In 2 hours? Before the deadline? Before anyone can stop us? But the Kryn had made a mistake. They thought Earth's intelligence network was new. They were wrong. For 200 years, Earth had been listening to galactic communications. They had broken encryption codes. They had placed monitoring devices throughout the galaxy. They knew about the Kryn plan within minutes. Aboard the Unity, alarms sounded. General Chen rushed to the command center. Mr. President, we have a problem. The Kryn Third Fleet is mobilizing for attack. Morrison stood calmly. How long do we have? 2 hours, maybe less, Chen said. Sir, we should prepare for combat. Or withdraw, either Morrison said. We're going to play our last card. What card? Chen asked. Morrison smiled. The one they don't know we have. He turned to the communications officer. Open a channel to the council. Public broadcast. I want everyone to see this. Moments later, Morrison's face appeared on screens throughout the council station. Every species could see him. His expression was serious but calm. Members of the Galactic Council, he began. We have detected military movements that suggest some of you prefer war to peace. Before you make that choice, we want to show you something. He nodded to Chen. She transmitted coordinates to the council's sensors. Please direct your scanners to these locations. Morrison said the council's sensor officers did as he asked. Then they gasped. All of them, throughout the galaxy at 12 different locations, massive structures suddenly appeared. They had been invisible, hidden by cloaking technology so advanced that even the council's best sensors had missed them. They were not weapons. They were cities. Orbital habitats surrounded resource-rich asteroids. Each habitat was huge, housing millions of people. Each was protected by defensive systems, similar to the fleet's technology, and each had been there for decades. The council chamber erupted in shock. Velthor stood up, his face pale. This is impossible. We've scanned those regions hundreds of times. There was nothing there. You saw nothing, because we didn't want you to, Morrison said. For 50 years, humanity has been colonizing space. We built these habitats in secret. We cloaked them using technology generations ahead of yours. Mareko stared at her scanner data. Her hands were shaking. The cloaking systems. They're unlike anything in our database. How did you do this? Morrison continued. You thought you were facing one world with 10 billion people in a surprising fleet. You were wrong. You're facing a civilization of 15 billion people spread across 13 star systems. The numbers shocked everyone. Earth wasn't just a single planet anymore. They were an empire. A hidden empire that had grown right under the galaxy's sensors. Director Fendel looked at his economic data. His expression was stunned. The asteroid mining operations, the industrial capacity. They could build 10 more fleets with these resources. You let them get this strong, someone accused? You missed all of this. Everyone missed it, Cassathon said quietly, because we all thought they were primitives. Aboard the Kryn flagship, Zareth received the news. His attack plan was now useless. He wasn't facing 1,000 ships. He was facing an entire hidden civilization with unknown capabilities. Cancel the attack, he ordered reluctantly. Stand down. His admirals looked relieved. Fighting 1,000 ships was risky. Fighting an entire hidden empire was suicide. Back on the Unity, Commander Park spoke quietly to Chen. General, that wasn't all a bluff, was it? We really have been hiding all of this? Chen nodded. Everything the president said was true. We've been building for 50 years. Those habitats are real. The 15 billion people are real. And yes, we could build 10 more fleets if we needed to. Why didn't we tell them before? Parks asked. Because then it wouldn't be a surprise, Chen said. Now they know what we showed them. But they also know we've been hiding things successfully for decades. They're wondering what else they don't know about. Morrison addressed the council again. We're not threatening you. We're not demanding your territory. We're not claiming resources that belong to others. We're simply showing you the truth. Humanity is already here, already established, already capable of defending ourselves. He paused, letting that sink in. The question before you is simple. Do we do this as council members working together? Or as outsiders watching each other suspiciously from across borders? If you choose cooperation, we'll share what we've learned. Our cloaking technology, our integration methods, our innovations, we'll trade fairly and work together honestly. But if you choose confrontation, Morrison's voice turned hard. You'll face an enemy that knows everything about you, while you know almost nothing about us. An enemy that can hide entire cities. An enemy that turned your trash into treasures. An enemy that waited 200 years for the right moment. Belthar found his voice. This is blackmail. No, Morrison corrected. This is negotiation. Between equals. Which is what we've been asking for all along. Cassathon stood up slowly. The ancient leader looked tired. The human is right. We have underestimated Earth from the beginning. Now, we must make a choice. He looked at the other council members. We can fight a war that might last decades and cost millions of lives. Or we can accept what has already happened. Earth is a power now. They earned it through patience and intelligence. They stole our technology, someone protested. They salvaged what we abandoned, Cassathon corrected. If we had valued our technology, we would not have left it lying around. They turned our waste into their weapons. That shows resourcefulness, not theft, Merkel spoke up. I recommend acceptance. The scientific benefits alone would be worth it. Their integration methods could advance the entire galaxy, Fendel agreed. The economic opportunities are enormous. Fighting them would be the most expensive mistake in council history. The Whisper's representative, Elder Shenra, added her voice. I sense no deception from the humans. They mean what they say. They want cooperation, not conquest. Slowly, more council members spoke in favor of accepting Earth. The military powers resisted. But they were outnumbered. KS single quotes then made the decision. We will vote. Within the hour, Earth will have their answer before the deadline. Morrison's image on the screen nodded. Thank you, council leader. We await your decision. The broadcast ended. The council chamber filled with worried conversations. Everyone was calculating, reconsidering, understanding that the galaxy had changed forever. On the Unity. Morrison sat down for the first time in hours. Chen brought him water. Do you think they'll vote yes? She asked. They have to, Morrison said. We gave them no other rational choice. But even if they don't, we've already won. How? Chen asked. Morrison gestured to the screens showing their hidden habitats. Because now they know we're not dependent on their approval. We can succeed with them or without them. But they'll always wonder what else we're hiding. Chen smiled. Are we hiding anything else? Morrison's smile matched hers. Maybe, maybe not. Let them wonder. The galaxy was about to vote. And humanity's place among the stars would finally be decided. Asterisk, asterisk, end of part 4, asterisk, asterisk, hash. Part 5, the new Balance the Vote was called. Every council member had to decide, accept Earth as an equal member, or reject them and face an uncertain future. The counting began. One by one, species announced their votes. The Luminari voted yes. Science benefits from diversity, Mirakel said. The Zephron voted yes. Trade benefits everyone, Fendel declared. The Whispers voted yes. Elder Shenra simply said, peace is wise. But the Kryn Empire voted no. Zareth stood firm. We do not negotiate with thieves. Two other military species voted with the Kryn. They could not accept sharing power with humans. But when the counting finished, the result was clear. 42 species voted yes. Only 3 voted no. Earth was accepted into the Galactic Council with full membership rights. The council chamber was quiet. This had never happened before. Usually new members were grateful and humble. Earth had won membership through strength and confidence. Cassathon spoke formally. The vote is complete. Earth is now a full member of the Galactic Council. President Morrison, you and your delegation are welcome. Morrison appeared on the screens again. This time, he bowed respectfully. Thank you, Council Leader. Humanity is honored to join you. The formal ceremony happened 3 days later. It was unlike any previous admission ceremony. Usually, new species arrived with small ships and nervous smiles. Earth's delegation arrived with military precision. President Morrison and General Chen led a group of 50 humans. They walked into the council chamber like equals who had earned their place. The symbolism was clear to everyone watching. Morrison took Earth's seat. The chair that had been empty for 200 years was finally filled. He looked at the other council members calmly. As Earth's first act in this council, Morrison began, "I proposed a technology sharing agreement." The room stirred with surprise. They expected demands for territory or resources. Instead, Morrison was offering trade. "Earth will provide our advances in hybrid systems integration," he explained. "Our methods for combining incompatible technologies. In exchange, we request access to 3 research fields: quantum communication, biological medicine, and sustainable energy." It was a fair trade. Actually, it was generous. Earth's integration technology was worth much more than what they were asking for. Fendel stood up immediately. "The Zephron Consortium accepts. We can begin negotiations today." Other species quickly agreed. The economic benefits were obvious. Within an hour, 12 species had signed preliminary agreements. Velthar sat silently, angry but defeated. The humans had outmaneuvered him at every turn. Over the following weeks, Earth's presence changed council politics completely. Debates that were dominated by military powers now had a new voice, one backed by demonstrated strength: the Kryn. Empire proposed aggressive expansion into disputed territory near the Phonox system. It was a plan they had pushed for years. Smaller species always voted against it, but never had enough votes to stop it. This time was different. Morrison stood and spoke against the proposal. He explained how the expansion would destabilize the region. He pointed out the economic costs. He offered alternative solutions. When the vote happened, Earth voted no. And enough other species voted with them to block the Kryn plan? Zareth was furious. "You've been here 3 weeks and already you interfere with council business." Morrison remained calm. "This is council business. We're council members. We have the right to vote," Kasathan agreed. "Earth's vote is as valid as anyone's. The proposal is rejected." The era of military powers dominating every decision was over. The balance had shifted. But Earth also proved they could cooperate genuinely. When the peaceful Whispers species reported pirates attacking their trade routes, Morrison offered help immediately.
"Oh.
"Earth's 7th Fleet is nearby," he said. "We'll assist in clearing the pirates." Within a week, Earth's ships had destroyed the pirate bases. They asked for nothing in return. No payment, no favors. Just goodwill and friendship. The Whispers were grateful. Other peaceful species noticed Earth wasn't just strong. They were also willing to help the weak. When the Luminari shared a breakthrough in energy research, Earth responded by sharing their own work freely. No demands. No conditions. Just scientific cooperation between equals. Mareko was delighted. This is how the council should work, sharing knowledge for everyone's benefit. Aboard the Unity, Morrison and Chen watched as Earth ships began spreading throughout council space. They were no longer visitors. They were members with the right to be anywhere in galactic civilization. "We did it," Chen said quietly. "We actually did it." Morrison nodded. "It was risky. If even one thing had gone wrong, we could have started a war." "But it didn't go wrong," Chen said. "Your plan worked perfectly." Morrison smiled slightly. "Actually, there was one thing they never learned." "What's that?" Chen asked. Morrison pulled up a display showing the Sol system. Around Earth, more ships were visible. Many more ships. "The fleet we brought wasn't our full strength," he explained. "Another 1,000 ships are still home, protecting Earth, plus defensive systems around the planet itself that would make any invasion impossible." Chen laughed quietly. "You never showed them everything. It's better to be underestimated than to reveal every capability," Morrison said. "Let them think they know our full strength. Meanwhile, we keep our ultimate defense secret." "That's sneaky," Chen observed. "That's survival," Morrison corrected. "We joined the council, but we never forgot that we need to protect ourselves first." 2 months after Earth's admission, Kasathan invited Morrison to a private dinner on the council station. The 2 leaders sat in a quiet room with a view of the stars. "You've changed the council," Kasathan said. "In just 2 months, you've shifted the balance of power." "We're just participating," Morrison replied. "Voting, speaking, cooperating. You're doing more than that," Kasathan said with a knowing look. You're showing other species that the military powers don't control everything. You're giving the peaceful species confidence to speak up. Morrison took a sip of his drink. Is that a problem? No, Kasathan said. It's progress. For too long, the Council has been dominated by those who threaten force. Now there's a counterbalance. Someone strong enough to say no without fear. Why didn't you stop us? Morrison asked. You're the Council leader. You could have made our admission difficult. Kasathan looked at the stars. In 4,000 years, I've learned something important. Change is inevitable. The question is whether you fight it or guide it. Earth represents change. You came when you were ready. Not too early. Not too late. Perfect timing. We spent 200 years preparing, Morrison admitted. No, Kasathan said. That's what impressed me most. Most species either join too early and lose themselves, or stay isolated too long and become irrelevant. You found a third path. Morrison leaned back in his chair. We watched from the outside. We saw what happened to species that joined eagerly. They became absorbed, lost their culture, lost their independence. We didn't want that. So you waited until you were strong enough to join on your terms, Kasathan finished. Brilliant strategy. Will the Kryn ever accept us? Morrison asked. Kasathan considered the question. Eventually, they're angry now, embarrassed, but they're practical. Once they see they can't change the situation, they'll adapt. It might take years, but it will happen. Over the next year, Earth settled into council life. Human diplomats learned galactic politics. Human traders established business relationships. Human scientists collaborated on research projects. But Earth never forgot the lesson of their arrival. Strength guaranteed respect. So they kept building. New ships. New habitats. New technologies. The galaxy learned to respect humanity. Not because humans threatened anyone, but because everyone knew that humanity could defend themselves against anyone on Earth. A young officer named Lieutenant Sarah Martinez stood watch at one of the orbital cities. She looked down at the blue and green planet below, then up at the stars above. Her communicator buzzed. Lieutenant, anything to report? All quiet, she replied. No threats. All systems normal. It was a normal night. A peaceful night. But Martinez knew that peace existed because of the ships around her. Because of the strength Earth had built. Because 200 years ago, Earth's leaders had made a wise choice. They had waited, prepared, and then taken their place among the stars as equals. The Galactic Council once had an empty chair, a seat no one sat in, a symbol of a species too primitive to matter. Now that chair was filled, and the humans sitting in it represented a civilization that had changed the galaxy forever, not through conquest, not through threats, but through patience, intelligence, and the wisdom to know when to act. Earth had skipped every meeting, then showed up with 1,000 warships, and nothing was ever the same again. The end.